Hey guys, it's Discovery time. We're Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Gunnings, and we're still doing our Discovery Week of lots and lots of breakdowns of all the different pieces and bobs and tech and history and things to analyse and see if it fits.
Exactly. So, as we're doing with these videos, break it down, break down the Discovery trailer into pieces, and we're going to ask the question,
Yes.
are these specific aspects that we're looking at Prime Universe? Are they rebooted? Are they just visually rebooted? Are they Kelvin timeline? Do they not fit at all? Is it just generic sci-fi? These are things we want to look at. So today we are talking about uniforms.
Very important one.
Absolutely. And we're going to start off, of course, with chronological order, NX-01 era. These are jumpsuits, flight suits, essentially. Based on the military. It's a nice evolutionary step from the Air Force, let's say. You got the color codes for your command, your security, your support services, and your mission patch, which shows your ship and all that. So very military.
It's the least Star Trek of them, but Federation, this is the Earth Starfleet. It's not the Federation of Planets. Federation of Planets, a bit more of a non-human style costume or uniform.
And they actually have pockets, which has been a complaint about Star Trek uniforms over the years.
Yes, the next shot you can see, and this is a fun one. Obviously, you can see both the Enterprise and the TOS put together. But actually, there's a step after that. The next picture is the final episode of Enterprise, the holodeck episode, but it's set after the Federation was, or just as the Federation was formed, and now you've got those. What are they called? Epaulets.
Epaulets, yeah.
Yeah, which they've added. They've got a bar there, slightly different cut. I mean, subtle small changes, but that's the next step apparently. I guess more militaristic. I guess.
A little bit.
Well, Romulan War. I mean, if they're going to do, I suppose, it's odd change, but that's the next step. Now, next one's an interesting one. This is Star Trek Beyond, which takes place in the future. But look, did you know Spock is wearing a Franklin uniform? That's interesting because the Franklin was recommissioned after the Federation and relaunched as an exploration vessel post-Federation, which means this uniform, if you go to the next picture, see him on the floor, and the next shows of just these ones of Spock, this is the first United Federation of Planets uniform in Prime canon, if the JJ-verse ones are actually canon backwards, they're not just a complete split. What's interesting, though, visually, is that they've actually got, I never noticed this, they've actually got lined down their trousers, like the, spoilers, Discovery. So that thing is consistent. They've got the mission patches of the NX-01, a bit more uniformy than the NX-01, but contains a lot of the same elements. And I really like this uniform. It's not overly Starfleet-y, but Spock's uniform got destroyed. They took off the Franklin, and this is the first post-Federation uniform, if you caught it. And if we consider the JJ films actually canon, even though they say they're prime canon.
Absolutely. And it's a nice step between NX-01 and TOS costuming because there's more color.
Yeah.
The color is going from stripes to patches and then eventually the full color. But next up is the Kelvin. These have solid colors, different colors for each division, again. And you got the little pinstriping on there, but now it's black. It's not the colored, because the whole uniform is colored. And you got your badge. You don't have anything on the arms anymore. They got rid of that, made it sleeker. You got your rank on your collar or your sleeve.
Which is a nice that was a nice TOS linking, I will say.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the next evolution. As far as we know, the Kelvin is a prime timeline ship because it was before the incursion of the Narada.
Yes.
Should be prime timeline.
Yes.
Whether it is or not is another issue. But
both theories work. Simon Pegg says they changed the pre-Kelvin, so it can't be the prime, but technically it's meant to be prime. Now, you will note, if you go back one step, the Franklin uniform does have the Starfleet insignia, which means that the formation of the Federation, that's when they started using the insignia, which carries over to the Kelvin, but now it's hollow, whatever. They've now got a belt, very big trousers, very, very high trousers. Then push forward into the Cage era, which is just before Discovery, about 25 or so, whatever years after Kelvin. A lot of blue, actually, although now we've gone from command blue to science blue, because the other chaps were command. But there is actually a lot of blue, actually quite similar colours. You've maintained the rank in the side. Command is now gold. It kind of looks as plain as the Kelvin. Like, the colours are that sort of muted color. So not too bad actually, but very, very muted. This whole style was
smaller, filled-in Delta as well, and they had a sale on turtlenecks apparently, and Starfleet used that as their next costume. And staying in the Cage era, we have the away mission uniforms, which have a jacket, which is a gray jacket for all team members with the rank on the sleeve as well, and again,
blue-ish.
Yeah, bluish gray. Yeah, absolutely. So kind of a muted color palette, but
what this sort of really tells you is that actually Starfleet used a lot of blue in the past, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But the next era is Discovery. We've got Discovery, and they're also blue. Delta is continuing. You've now got side color pieces. You've got pieces on the legs. You've got a waistband at the back for this female character in the next picture. Different colors depending on different divisions. Very, very blue.
Yeah.
But also very uniformy.
Yeah, very much. And this does kind of tie into the whole aesthetic we've seen, even going back to NX-01 era. But I do like the striping on them, how it's different colors. Although it's not the colors we're used to. It's not the primary colors. It's more of a metallic design, which we've mentioned in other Discovery things. Is the Shinzu actually from that time period, or is it from the future? Is it an older ship?
Yes. And we'll talk about that in the full comparison. I will note that there's this third picture which has lens flare. I didn't even notice the lens flares in the first time round because I was focused on everything else, all the other details I was looking at. Yeah. What's the next era, Stuart?
The next era is awesome era. It's the TOS era, and of course
10 years later.
Yes, 10 years later. Of course, it's got the velour, the nice velour tops.
Yep.
And again, gold is command, red is support services, and blue is medical and science. So there you have it. You also have a few different styles for the captain, at least, and got the wraparound tunic there, which is awesome, which is actually kind of a green color. Supposedly, even the yellow velour was supposed to be a light green color, but under the lights it looked yellow. Yep. So take that for what it's worth.
And obviously they've still got the Federation insignia that has carried through. It wasn't Discovery, it's here as well. So that in terms of Prime, and we'll talk about that in a minute, that does carry through. But in fact, we're going to go one era ahead just to see where that evolution goes to. A few years later, we go to the motion picture era. And guess what? A lot of the blues come back. A lot of the muted colour. You've got a lot of blue jumpsuit stuff with Bones' neckline, V-neck.
That's 70s for sure.
And a lot of clean colours, high neck. You got some side pieces, which we'll talk about in a minute for the captain, and for Sulu as one of the as well. But yeah,
in a way though, I got to say that this era of uniform is very reminiscent of the Cage era, color palettes and the muted. Even the yellows aren't as bright. So, yeah.
And this was before the Battle of Khan era, but that's a bit too far in the future for us. So, Stuart, here is the graph. Here is the chart. Here is the evolution. This was fascinating when I built it because people don't really appreciate the Franklin iteration. I mean, they did think about that. What do you think about this in terms of evolution?
It all works for me except for 2255. The Discovery seems off and out of place.
Right.
But then again, as we've mentioned, is if the Constitution class was with a newer style of ship, could be that they got all the newest stuff, and the Shinzao could be an older ship that was out on patrol for 7 years. She said she was in command for 7 years. So they could sell the older style uniforms, which tie in beautifully with the Kelvin style.
Yep, absolutely.
But the new Constitution class ships that were just launched and the big ships of the fleet got the new uniforms. Eventually that trickles down to all the other ships as they come into star bases or whatever. So it could believe that those Discovery uniforms are in fact older style uniforms, which I don't have a problem with. I like that idea. But there you have it. So,
yeah, great summation there. I mean, what this really shows you is that actually all of Starfleet history used blue. Then they went to gold. So the fact they're blue is actually them linking to everything else. Now then you've got the same questions of, is any of the JJ stuff canon, prime, whatnot? Okay, yes, but technically they're called prime. These elements are. But you can, if you moved the Discovery, and like I said, 7 years. So I totally bias as 5 years before Cage uniform, and then if you swap them around, the evolution actually goes from flight suit to uniform. Very, very similar though, sort of quite baggy. There's still pockets, but more of a uniform. Transitions to a uniform, but sticking with the blue. Transitions to uniform, losing the belt, more of a jacket, like TOS. They went radical with the braiding stuff, but hey, it's a style. I mean, Wrath of Khan is radical to TMP, so there's able to be radical departures. Then they say no, new style is going to be clean, simple, easy to tell, different colours of crew, and then evolves to TOS. If you swap that round, it works beautifully, really, really well, and we hadn't even considered that necessarily here. You know, the reaction about this, and again, you go into the Wrath of Khan era, everyone wears red with divisions as secondary colours. You go into TNG, it's good mix, that's more TOS. You go into Voyager, mostly black, secondary colour. You go to Nemesis, all the same, with necks the same colour. So actually, TOS and TNG are the exceptions to the rule. Every Starfleet uniform has always been a single colour, and mostly, if you take, like I said, the black of Voyager and then the Nemesis style, it's mostly black or dark colours with a bit of colour. So TOS is actually the exception to the rule. Hey, that's fine. They were a style of of that 2265 era. But actually, it's more consistent than it could be if you take this into line. And this is why we had to do the research, guys, because you didn't think all this, I'm sure. Does this change how you feel about it? Because we're cutting all this stuff into sub-components to appreciate their design, because as a whole, it might not work, all different elements put together, but sub-elements, there is thought put into everything, real thought.
Yeah. We do go into the nuances here that you guys might not consider. It's not just a trailer. It's not just, ooh, look, it's one piece. We go into the details here at Trekyards. So now comes the question, though. Do you think it falls into reboot, Prime Universe, whatever, right? My thoughts on this, I think it fits, especially if it's an older uniform. I like that idea, because she did say at the beginning of the trailer that she has been a captain or a commander for 7 years. It's time you get your own captaincy kind of thing. So that implies the Shinzao's mission was probably 7 years, at least. So these could be older style uniforms, and the Constitution class ships have the new uniforms. I think it fits in the Prime timeline. That's my assessment.
Yeah, each of these different videos we've had a different result. You know, the communicators, or the transporters, or other ones we haven't released yet, it's different. But I absolutely agree. If you say they're old uniforms by 5-6 years, and I mean, this is one thing where the Kelvin timeline films did a decent job. Those are actually nice. And I was so happy to see the Franklin timeline uniform. Although, obviously them being able to set what the first Federation uniform is kind of annoying. You would prefer a Prime timeline person like Dredrex, or prefer a classicist to do that. But for what they did, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, it's a Prime uniform. It's just that one smallest step before Cage, and it would be great to see last episode of Discovery. The new uniforms have come in, and some people are putting on those. I mean, we see in TNG the Generations, some people are using one and the other. Things get phased out over time.
And as your duty shift ends, you get your new ones in your locker and get rid of the old ones.
And Star Trek Voyager, they see the uniforms when they reach, when they do contact with Earth. But guess what? For 3 years, 2 years, they don't recycle the uniforms. They don't make the uniforms to be up to date. If this ship is too far away to bother updating, it could be even older, because it's not first priority to update the uniforms. And we see in the trailer it's the edge of Federation space.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So actually, it's a very interesting Prime timeline. It breaks the mold, but it's an interesting take, and you wouldn't say Starfleet because of how the colours define Starfleet for people's imagination. If you had to line up with this, The Expanse, BSG, you would not say it's Star Trek. Take off the emblem, you wouldn't say it was Star Trek. But in the context, when you really break it down, it actually can work. I don't think they've thought that all through. I think they've taken a look at Kelvin and Franklin and said, hey, let's make this more military, let's make it more dress uniformy. That's my gut. And one last note, the captain of the Shinzao has these little bar bonus bits, and Kirk in the motion picture, as you can see in this picture, has also these little bonus bits. So does Sulu in the same shot. So So it's not about being in command, but just a little note that maybe the higher ranks do have. There's extra details on some uniforms. So, a little side note there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're both saying Prime, Stuart. That's nice. It's nice to be able to say that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, guys, I want to hear your opinions. You got the chart in front of you. Look at it. Give us your comments below. And like we said, we go into the nuances of these kind of things. You guys probably didn't think this far into it, but that's what we're here for. We want to help you guys do that and see a bigger picture in the Star Trek universe and not just immediately just jump to conclusions. So that's why we're here, and to help us be here for you guys on a regular basis, helping you with all new things Discovery and all new things just Trekyards in general. If you could head over to patreon.com/Trekyards and help us out by donating on a monthly basis, that'd be awesome. Or one-time donation over at trekyards.com, and we can definitely keep doing these kind of things for you guys.
And we've done so many, and we're going to continue to do so many. This treasure shelf, so much stuff, and we want to make sure that you guys understand what it is in the context, do the research, so you don't have to. You don't have to look on Memory Alpha, you don't have to just look at news sites. We have it all here, so if you want to support the show, just get the word out. Share this video wherever you think Trek fans would enjoy it. Help them understand, what potentially this could be, and just to get your own opinion based on all the facts. That's a good thing, So until next time, in the next awesome Discovery video that we're quite proud of, I am Commander Coggins.
And I'm Captain Foley.
I'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.